This meeting is being recorded.
Where's my share screen? All right. Let's review what we did last time. We talked about lines. How do we find the slope of the line? What's our formula there? Yes, that's the... What letter designates slope? M. And you were right. It is the rise over run, so it's the vertical, so it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What is x2 and y2? What does that represent? Point 1 is made up of x1, y1, and point 2 is made of x2, y2. So the subscripts designate which point they belong to. Remember, each point is made up of an x and y component, a coordinate. So when I say y2, that's the y value of the second point. We haven't discussed distance yet, have we? Or midpoint. Okay, good. So let's do an example here. Find M. You have 2 points. Can y'all see that? For some reason, it's pretty dark. So tell me which quadrants these are in too while you're doing this. What quadrant is this one in? Very good. And this one? There. The third quadrant, they're both negative. This one, you go to the right and then down. So it's the fourth quadrant. So to be honest with you, to find the slope, all it really is plug and play. We label the points. What does x1 represent? What number? -3. It's the x value of the first point. x2 is the x value of the second point. What y1 is 4. It's the y value of the first point. And y2 is -6. So once we label those, we know the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all it is now is just plug and play. y2 is -6 minus y1 is 4. On the bottom, x2 is 6 minus x1 is -3. On the bottom, negative times negative is a, so that turns into a positive. negative 6 minus 4, 6 plus 3. What is negative 6 minus 4? Yes. Since both of the signs are negative, answer is negative. Add the numbers. 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 plus 3 is 9. And there's your slope. If you saw that with your pen, tell me which direction that line is going. Yeah. So it's a negative slope, so it's going down. That's a negative slope. A positive slope goes up. Yes. There you go. Ah, you play for the Cowboys. You lost it? Oh, did it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, so what this thing says is as we go left to right, remember mathematics is always reading left to right. As we go left to right, since it's negative, the slope has to go down. That's what that means. On the bottom, if it's positive, as we go left to right, the slope goes higher. The line goes higher. So from point one, we go down 10 units. Then over to the right, 9 units. That's what that means. It's hard to see. I think it's because of, yeah, I turn it on, it gets worse. What it is, it's the glare from this window. Yeah, if I could block out that light. Can you see it now? I finally get it working, and it's not working. That is really terrible. So yeah, definitely have to ask if we can change rooms. There it goes. So from point one, we go down 10 units, then over to the right 9 units. That's how we read the slope. The top one, we go up or down, and the bottom always go right. Ooh, I got one. Let's try this one. Find the slope. Oh. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Can you see? Okay, the first point is 4, 5, 4, -3. Find the slope between those 2 points. 4, 5, 4, -3. A little bit better. So that's x1, that's y1, x2, y2. Y2 is what? Minus y1, which is 5. X2 is 4, minus x1 is 4. Negative and negative, the answer is negative. 5 plus 3 is 8. 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, let's hold off on that one. Let's do the next one. All right, now, one, two, three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So that one is a vertical line. What is this one? -8 over 0. What is that answer? No, we have to simplify this. -8 divided by 0 is? It's actually infinity. So it's undefined. One, two, three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -3, 5. So this one is a horizontal line going through 5. What is 0 divided by -7? Now, why is this? Why is this one undefined and this one 0? When we talk about fractions, what is that answer? 8 divided by 4. Why is it 2? Because we ask, how many times does 4 go into 8? 2 times. How many times does 0 go into negative 8? Infinite times. If I promise to give you nothing, how many ways can I give it to you? A lot. How many times does negative 7 go into 0? It doesn't. It doesn't fit in there. So 0 times. So there is a big difference. Whenever the slope is undefined, we know we have a vertical. If we have a slope of 0, we have a horizontal, and vice versa. If our line is horizontal, then the slope we know is 0. If we have a vertical line, we know the slope is undefined. So what do we notice about the points then? If we have a vertical line, what about the points? What do we notice about the points? They have the same x values, yes. What that means is the points on the line don't go left and right. It only goes up and down. There's no horizontal shift. All it does is go from 5 to negative 3. It does a vertical change only. X stays the same. If it's a horizontal line, the y's stay the same. Meaning all it does is move left to right. It stays on the same y value. It doesn't go up or down. The reason I'm showing you this is because sometimes you'll be faced with these equations, these points. If you notice that you have similar points, you don't have to do these calculations. You know, if you have the same y values, it's going to be a horizontal line. The slope is 0. If you have the same x values, it's a vertical line. The slope is undefined. You don't have to do all the rest of the stuff. Or, I mean, you can always just do it. It's not going to hurt you. So far, so good? So that's the slope. The distance formula. I bet you all know it already. What is that equation? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Have you all ever heard of that one? What is it called? Very good. Pythagorean Theorem. Now, I know you all have seen it, you've heard about it. What does it deal with? When do we use the Pythagorean Theorem? Yes, special type of triangle. It has to be a right triangle. You have to have a 90-degree angle right there. This is A. That's one of the legs. That's leg 1. This is side B. That's leg 2. And this is side C. It's the hypotenuse. I forgot if it has an E or not. So we have 2 sides and 1 hypotenuse. The sides, the legs, have to be perpendicular. What does perpendicular mean? They form a 90-degree angle. So this leg and this leg have to form a 90-degree angle. And then we use the formula a squared plus b squared. It's the length of a squared plus the length of b squared equals the length of c squared. Now, let's look at our picture. Okay, that's the line we're dealing with. Point 1, point 2. Why is that one called point 1? Yeah, as we're reading left to right, it's the first point we get to, the second point we get to. So the distance between point A, point 1, to point B, the distance between there will be determined by a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we need a triangle, don't we? Through point 1, let's draw a horizontal line through point 1. Let's draw a vertical line through point 5. There's a 90-degree angle. This is our side A. How do we define the length of side A? How far is it from 1 to 5? Did we learn a formula for that? Yes, we did last time. In other words, what's the distance from this point to that point? 5 minus 1 is 4. And this is side B. It's the distance from 1 to 4. 4 minus 1 equals 3. So we know 4 squared plus 3 squared equals this hypotenuse. What is 4 squared? 16. 3 squared is 9. 16 plus 9 is 16. So to get C, we have to get rid of the square. How do you get rid of the square? Square root. Very good. Both sides. The square and the square root cancel. So we have C, the square root of 25 is 5. So the distance the hypotenuse is actually the distance from point A to point B. So let's see how this formula develops. So we started off with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared was the horizontal distance. The distance there was x2 minus x1. b squared is the vertical, so that's y2 minus y1. That equals the distance. We have to get rid of the square, so we square root both sides. So the distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And that's your distance formula. And the beautiful thing about this is you really don't have to do too much work, because think about it. If you found the slope, you notice how this is that, and this is that. So once you find the slope, just take the values, square them, add them together, and square root. You don't have to go through all that work over again. All right, let's do an example. Three, -5, -2, -7. Find M and D. Find M and D. Okay, let me work it out for you real quick. Beep. So the slope is 2 over 5. And the distance is square root of 29. Do y'all get the slope at least? Yes, no? Okay. Oh, because, yeah. Yeah, because that minus, the minus sign right there. So negative 2 minus the 3. Oh. Remember what I said last class? What's going to hurt your grade is that little symbol. I know, I'm going to do it too. You guys are going to catch me doing it. It's just, it's there, but we're going to screw it up. Ever get this one? Because once you have these two numbers here, just square them and add them together. Any questions about that one? Because if you notice, it is just plug and play. Once you have the points and you have the formula put down, just plug and play. All right. Look at the same points, the same line. We know the slope. Three over 4. We know the distance between points A and point B. It's 5 units. How about midpoint between A and B? What we're looking for here, a midpoint is just that. Here's point A, point B. We want to know the place that's halfway between those 2 points. So what we're looking for, it's a coordinate. It has to be an X and a Y location. That's the midpoint. The letter we use for midpoint is the capital M. We use capital M for midpoint. Now, how do you think we're going to find this? If we want to find the point that's halfway between point A and point B, how does that relate to our X and Y directions? Do it. You're close. What's that? What do you divide by 2? Okay, you're right. You ever get set? So the distance between 1 and 5 is 4. If we divide it by 2, we get 2. But what that means is that's the distance from the first point to the midpoint. But think about this now. What if these two were your grades? What would you do to find the midpoint of those two grades? It's also called the average. Add them and divide by 2. Yes. So the midpoint is you add x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Same thing with the y values. y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That's your midpoint. It's the average between your 2 points. So remember, x1 is 1, x2 is 5, y1 is 1, y2 is 4. So 1 plus 5 divided by 2, 1 plus 4 divided by 2. One plus 5 is 6. 1 plus 4 is 5 divided by 2. Ooh, that was terrible. So the midpoint is at, yeah, that's horrible, at 3, 2.5, or 2.5. And sure enough, on the x-axis, it's 3. On the y-axis, it's 2.5. So the midpoint is simply the average, the horizontal average and the vertical average. Any questions so far? We've discussed distances, slopes, midpoints. Let's go ahead and jump in now to find the equation of a line. The equation of a line. If somebody asks you to find the equation of a line, you have to ask them which format. There are 3 forms. Where since we want an equation, we can't use two points. So we pick one of the points, x1, y1, and the slope. So to find the equation of a line, the minimum you need is a slope and a point. So this form is called the point slope form. Why is it called a point slope form? Yeah, because it has a point x1, y1, and it has a slope m. Here's an example. Slope equals 5, and the point is 1, 3. So if you're asked to find the point slope form, and I give you this information, all you have to do is plug in these values and you're done. So y1 is 3, m is 5, x1 is 1. And there you have it. That's your answer. In point slope form. All right, the second form. This is the first form. The second form is called the slope-intercept form. And that form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. That's typically when people say lines, that's what they think about. Y equals mx plus b. Where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So the b value, the constant of your equation, is a point on the y-axis. That's the y-intercept, a specific point on the y-axis. How do we find this? Well, let's begin from this one. How do we go from this to this? Solve for y. Get y by itself. What's the first thing we have to do? No, before that. We have a parenthesis here. Distribute. So positive is positive. 5 times x is 5x. Positive times negative is negative. 5 times 1 is 5. That's the first step. You get rid of the parentheses. Okay, and now we do it. To get y by itself, we get rid of the 3. So we add 3 to both sides. Y equals 5x. Negative and a positive. Since the signs are different, since 5 is bigger than 3, the answer is going to be negative. 5 minus 3 is 2. So here's your slope-intercept form. Could you graph this? Okay, how would you graph it? No. You don't need, that's it. You don't need a calculator. It tells you everything you need right there. What does the 2 represent? Or the negative 2? Okay, so we know the line crosses the y-axis there, right? What does the 5 represent? Slope, right? Slope is a fraction, so it's 5 over 1. What does the top number do? It goes up. So from this point, we go up 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the bottom, we go to the right 1. There's our graph. So you start from your y-intercept, and then you follow the slope. The top number, if it's positive, you go up. If it's negative, you go down. The bottom number, you always go to the right. Now, do you need a calculator for that? No. I'm going to try to get you away from that dum-dum box. All right, so that is the slope-intercept form. It tells us a lot. The third form is called the standard form. The standard form looks like this. AX plus BY equals C. So all it really tells you is the standard form is X and Y have to be on the same side. One more stipulation. A has to be greater than 0. We'll talk about how to do that in a second. So let's begin with our slope-intercept form. We have y equals 5x minus 2. Put it in standard form. So we have to get x and y on one side. How do we do that? I got to move the 5x, don't I? How do I move the 5x? Subtract 5x from both sides. We have negative 5x plus y. Those cancel, equals negative 2. X and y on the same side, but a has to be positive. Yeah. The way you were taught in the past requires math. And chances are who was taught you divide by -1 to get rid of the negatives? Okay, good. I'm glad you do that. All you have to do, since you have to get rid of this sign here, if you change everybody's sign, it's the same answer. So just change all of the signs across the board. So it becomes a positive 5x. That becomes a negative y. That becomes a positive 2. And there's your answer in standard form. So if you ever have to get rid of a negative, just change the signs across the entire equation, both sides of the equal sign, and there you have it. Now, so any questions about those three forms? Here's the one question I have of you. Let me write them down. you have the point slope form. The slope intercept form and standard. And there's all different types of lines. They all came from the same place. Can you guess where it came from? It's one of the earlier formulas we learned. Yeah, because the repeating theme here is slope. So these are equations. So the first one, how do I get rid of this bottom part number here? What do I have to do to get rid of that? No, I got to multiply. If I multiply both sides by x2 minus x1, those cancel. What form is this? Point slope. Remember, we don't need the y2, x2. If we solve for y, this form is y equals mx plus b. It's a point slope. Y equals mx. And remember, all of these numbers are defined. They become a number. Your point that you're given is x1, y1, and you're given a slope. Those are all values. So this becomes y equals mx plus b. Your b can be negative. So it could be y equals mx minus b. If b is negative. So after we finish this, how do we get to standard form? Yeah, you have to move x and y to the same side. Mx plus b. So we subtract mx from both sides. This is your a. It's got to be positive, so what do? Just change all the signs. Mx minus y equals negative b. And there's your standard form. So it all starts with the slope formula, and from there, it all depends on what format you want it in. What's the two basic pieces you need to find an equation of a line? A point and a slope. All right, let's do this. Well, okay, now let's do this one. You guys are smart enough to do this. I'm going to show you two ways to do this one. So here are the first two steps. Since we need a point and a slope to get started, find the slope first, and then choose either of the equations to be x1, y1. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Y2 is 8, y1 is 4, x2 is 5, x1 is 3. 4 over 2 is 2. So my slope is 2. Since 3 and 4 are already labeled as x1, y1, I choose 3, 4 to be my point. All right, so one way you can do it, you have a point and a slope. So the first thing you can try to do is use the point slope formula. Y1 is 4 and x1 is 3. Now we have to get rid of the parentheses first. So 2x, positive times negative is negative. 2 times 3 is 6. Add 4 to both sides. Opposite signs, 6 is bigger, so it's negative. 6 minus 4 is 2. There. So this will plug it into that. So that's one way. And you can never go wrong that way. Let me show you a shortcut. Does anybody know a shortcut? Okay, good. Okay. Since we want y equals mx plus b, calculate M. Choose either point. Plug into y equals mx plus b. And solve for b. A little bit early. You're more likely to stay. So find M, choose a point, and plug them into your y equals mx plus b. Solve for b. And then plug M and B into the equation. You're done. Yeah, kind of ran out of space on the bottom. So yeah, plug. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So our points are 3, 4, 5, 8. Step 1, we found M, which was 2. Chose the point 3, 4 to be my point. The only thing we need is B, because M and B have to be defined in the equation. So we have X and Y. This is X, this is Y, and that's M. So 4 equals 2 times 3 plus B. So M equals 2, X equals 3, and Y equals 4. Four equals 6 plus B, subtract 6. B equals -2. That's all the calculations you have to do. We know M is 2. We know B is -2. So plug them in there. Y equals 2x plus -2. Just plug those in and go for it. Because here you only have to find one thing, is the B. It will save you a lot of time if you do it this way. But again, you could use whatever method you want. What do y'all think? Okay so far? Yeah, we're gonna what we do next time is we have to talk about perpendicular and parallel lines. We're going to have to define circles also. The equations for circles, we've done it already. We've had that equation already when we found the distance. The equation of a circle is the same equation as the distance. I know. How mind-blowing is that? Think about it. What formula do we use for distance. Pythagorean. And that was a triangle. It's got 3 sharp points. But a circle has no points, no edges. We're gonna take something that's triangular and make it into a circle. That's where it gets interesting. We'll do that next week. All right, everybody. Have a great, safe weekend. I know you have a lot of studying to do. And I will see you all on Monday. The radius, what